And on this big story, India Today is reporting from on the ground in Canada to get you the latest. My colleague Aneesha Mathur is currently in Toronto and she spoke to a lot of people, whether it's politicians, journalists or citizens. Now she spoke to a group of people who are the temple trustees and asking them about what does this movement mean to them, how is it resulting in the sort of tensions that are prevailing not just between two nations but between communities too now in Canada. Listen in.
First of all, if I may get a sense or from all of you, the Indian government has flagged an issue of security, of safety. Is it something that has been a problem in these areas?
Yeah, we do not have any security at this point in this area.
Why is it that there is a sense of unease? Why do we... Because so far, normally it's said that Canada is a very safe space. All communities are living together very happily. What exactly is happening that this kind of a sense is coming out now?
Good questions. There are a lot of violence going on in the general GTA area, and this Khalistani peoples, they are very aggressive, angry. They would come with the swords, the sticks, shouts, angry. And they're not afraid of any community at all. They just want to create a fear. In my opinion, they're only, out of the 800,000 Sikhs, 20% are the Khalistanis, really strong against India. Other Sikh community, they have no choice but to come under the threat of this other 20%, and that's why they are silent. But inside, I have a Sikh staff in the office, and they say, look, if we go to Gurudwara, we have no choice but to say yes, yes, yes. Otherwise, our family is threatened.
So is there this kind of threatening, the question of threats, but what effect is it having on the larger sense of Indian community here in Canada?
Well, basically, let's look at it this way. Even our seniors now, they are feeling so insecure, okay? Even though they haven't attacked us or anything, but the threats we hear on the television, on the media...
That's my question. Because a lot of allegations are being placed on the media that the media is highlighting something, the media is inflating the issue. Is it a media issue or is something happening on the ground, are debates happening on the ground?
No, it is not only media,
It is not just media, it is definitely happening. I mean, openly, if Khalistani supporters come out in the open in a crowd with open swords, hockey sticks, big sticks, okay, and nobody says a word to them, well, obviously they've got a clean right to do anything they want. And they feel more adventurous about it. Oh, nobody's going to touch us, because people are afraid of them.
सैनी साहब, आप पिछले 20-22 साल से यहाँ पर कवरेज कर रहे हैं न्यूज़ की. अभी ये जो हो रहा है उसमें कई पहलू हैं. सबसे पहले तो हम बात करते हैं कि इंडिया और कनाडा के बीच ये एकदम से जो तकरार हुई है, क्यों हम ऐसा देख रहे हैं कि एकदम से इतना हार्डलाइन स्टांस कैनेडियन गवर्नमेंट ले रही है, वर्ल्ड स्टेज पे इस तरह से आरोप लगा रही है, जबकि हिंदुस्तान कह रहा है सबूत लेकर आइए.
देखिए, ये सारा कुछ अनफॉर्चुनेटली शुरू हुआ G20 के समिट में. जब हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर जस्टिन ट्रूडो वहाँ गए थे तो ऐसा कुछ परसेप्शन बना, ऐसी कुछ न्यूज़ मीडिया में आई कि उनको स्नब किया गया खालिस्तान के मुद्दे के ऊपर. वो बात करना चाहते थे, जो पॉलिटिकल इंटरफेरेंस हमारी कंट्री में हो रही है. तो वो अनप्लेजेंट मीटिंग थी दोनों प्राइम मिनिस्टर की, हमें पता है. पर उसके बाद अनफॉर्चुनेटली चीज़ें रुकने का नाम ही नहीं ले रही. तो उसके बाद उन्होंने आते ही यहाँ पे जैसे ये कैनेडियन पार्लियामेंट में खड़े होकर ये बोल दिया कि हमारे पास इस बात के सबूत हैं, और सीधे से इंडियन गवर्नमेंट का नाम लिया कि उनका इन्वॉल्वमेंट है निज्जर की हत्या में. तो ये हमारे लिए भी बहुत बड़ी एक शॉकिंग न्यूज़ थी जो वो कह रहे थे. पर उससे भी आगे बढ़ के जैसे ही उन्होंने इधर डिप्लोमेट्स को एक्सपेल किया, टिट-फॉर-टैट की नीति उधर से उन्होंने एक्सपेल किया, फिर ये वीज़ा बंद हुए. और मुझे तो ये दुख हो रहा है कि अभी फ्यू वीक्स पहले मैंने हमारे जो इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड मिनिस्टर है मैरी, उनसे इंटरव्यू करी, उनसे बात करी, तो शी टोल्ड मी कि मैं तो इंडिया जा रही हूँ मिस्टर सैनी, और मैं तो फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट पे साइन करने वाली हूँ. हम तो खुश थे कि यो प्राइम मिनिस्टर मनमोहन सिंह से लेके प्राइम मिनिस्टर हार्पर ने 2010 के करीब जो साइन करे थे फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट, 12-13 साल में हम यहाँ प्रोग्रेस पे पहुंच गए थे कि वी आर ऑलमोस्ट एट द वर्ज ऑफ साइनिंग दैट फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट. ऐसा क्या हुआ कि एग्रीमेंट, फ्री ट्रेड, बिजनेस वो तो छोड़ो, पीपल टू पीपल हमारी टाइज पे आज ये सिचुएशन आ गई है कि आई एम गेटिंग कॉल्स फ्रॉम पीपल. अभी एक किसी के फादर की डेथ हुई थी परसों, ही वॉज क्राइंग, ही सेड आई वॉन्ट टू गो टू इंडिया, नहीं जा सकते हैं. तो रोज लोगों की कॉल आ रही है, किसी को शादी पे जाना है, किसी की, ऑल ऑफ ए सडन हो गया.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर हमसे बात करने के लिए.
So that's an exclusive and a very important conversation that you heard about. Specifically, the elderly people from the Hindu community are in fear because they've seen the situation change from how it was about some years ago in Canada and how the extremists are getting a boost. The Khalistanis are getting a boost because of Trudeau's statement and inaction. Let's move on now. Trudeau continues to be caught in a tough spot, and this is why. He was quick to raise this with China, with India, and stating that India is behind the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. But the one point where he has been silent on is now also being raised. Baloch Human Rights Council of Canada has written a letter to Trudeau and questioning Trudeau's silence. Zafar Javed is questioning why he had nothing to say on Baloch activist Karima Baloch's murder. In this letter to the Canadian Prime Minister, Baloch leader has said, why did Trudeau take no action against Pakistan on Karima Baloch's murder when it was so swift in giving out statements against India? Human rights activist Karima Baloch died in 2020 in Canada 48 hours after she had gone missing. Baloch Human Rights Council of Canada alleged Pakistan agents killed Karima Baloch. She had to leave Balochistan in 2016 and seek refuge in Canada after she had been receiving death threats. 3 years in, no action was taken by the Canadian government over Karima Baloch's death, and at a time, remember, when clearly so many individuals in Balochistan are facing horrific situation and even when they seek refuge are dying. Let's go across to our Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan, for the latest on that. Geeta, that's a very fair point that the Baloch Human Rights Council is raising, that he had nothing to say, no action was needed at that point, either against Pakistan or anyone or any statement when Karima Baloch was dead. And yet so much that he had to say against India on credible allegations.
Well, that's right. A serious statement in a letter by the Baloch Human Rights Council president talking about Karima Baloch, and it's been quite a while that she was found murdered in Canada, but yet no further movement on the investigation, and certainly with a lot of them pointing fingers at Pakistan and Pakistan's intelligence agency. We've not heard the the Canadian administration really talk about Pakistan establishment's involvement. But when it comes to a community that is a vote bank for the Trudeau administration, they are up in arms against India. So, yes, two wrongs don't make right, but over here, the fact of the matter is that Baloch Human Rights Council now waking up and asking the Trudeau administration as to why such prompt action against India, but none against Pakistan.
Just to keep tracking all the latest on that, Geeta Mohan for the latest on India-Canada's relationship. Now listen in to different reactions that have come in. My colleague Aneesha Mathur have been speaking to journalists based in Canada of Indian origin, also to the Member of Parliament, specifically in Ottawa, about what do they have to say about the increasing concerns faced by members of the Hindu community, for example, who are clearly receiving threatening message, for example, from Pannu's group, the Sikhs for Justice, asking Hindus to leave Canada, go to India. Here's what they have to say.
Pockets of Brampton in Canada. Notoriously known as the hub of Khalistani activities. India Today's Aneesha Mathur visited one of Canada's oldest gurudwaras in Brampton, which was the venue for the so-called Khalistani referendum in July. Inside the Gurudwara, venerated by the Indian Sikh community, are photos of several Khalistani terrorists.
This is one of the oldest Gurudwaras on the east coast of Canada, and this is also the place where in July a referendum on Khalistan with more than 42,000 Sikhs gathering had happened. This is also the place where the protest march against the Indian government had started ending at the Canadian consulate in the Toronto city. Even today, the langar hall of the area of this particular Gurdwara has photos of Bhindranwale and other Khalistani terrorists displayed proudly as martyrs. The question really now is, how exactly are the Indian and Canadian governments going to handle the deep-rooted fissures when it comes to the Sikh community here in Canada?
The Canadian MP Yasir Naqvi from Liberal Party, while speaking to India Today, denounced threat to Canadian Hindus from Khalistani elements.
We would never tolerate hatred towards any identifiable group, whether you are a Hindu Canadian, a Muslim Canadian, a Sikh Canadian, or a Christian, or any background. In Canada, our laws are very strict. Our police, our law enforcement authorities are very engaged in making sure that all are safe.
Canadian analysts blame Trudeau's soft stand on Khalistan to his political compulsions.
This is more of a diplomatic posturing, and Justin Trudeau, what he had to do, he had some domestic political compulsions more than the international relationship with India. I think he had his own survival was at stake, so he had to do this.
Senior journalist Hardeep Singh said that Trudeau is using the Sikh community to tide over politically challenging times.
99% of the Sikhs living in Canada, or even in India also, they don't support such narrative.
Okay.
They are of the view that India is part of their whole domicile, and they have paid a lot of they have done a lot of contribution and paid sacrifices for the independence of India.
Can Brampton tide over communal fault lines to uphold Canadian egalitarian values? With Aneesha Mathur in Canada, Bureau Report, India Today.